Today we're talking today about Unreal Engine 5.4 and all of the things that come along with it, features and the different technologies that are being developed with it. Also, we'll be discussing something a little bit controversial, something new that's sort of been in the media lately. So we'll be diving into that, figuring out what are all the different angles and nuances with this new method. As per usual, I'm joined by Kalsa and Rexy, the boys on the mic.
Welcome to the Boys on the Mic, the one-stop audio and video experience where the worlds of gaming and technology collide. I'm Nowakas, and I'm thrilled to be here with the dynamic duo, Kalsa and Rex. How's it going, guys?
Hey Nowakas! Hey listeners! Kalsa here. We're pumped to bring you another episode filled with the latest and the greatest in gaming and tech. No matter what kind of gamer you are or how tech savvy you might be, we got something just for you.
That's right, Rexy here, and we're stoked to have you join us. Whether you're a long-time listener or just discovering the podcast, you're in for a treat. We dive deep into all things gaming and tech, bringing you the news, reviews, and experiences from around the digital world.
And don't forget, if you love the vibe, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. It helps more gamers and tech enthusiasts like you find our show. Follow us on Tech Trio Tales to stay in the loop and become part of our growing community.
Got a topic you want us to cover? Or you just want to share your latest gaming victory? Reach out to us on our socials or in the comment section. We love hearing from our listeners.
Alright team, gear up because it's time to jump into another epic episode. Let's revive, respawn, power up, and go!
What's going on, baby?
Yeah, a bit of a we got on the cards today, boys. What do you reckon?
Definitely. I'm pretty excited to talk about it, and Unreal Engine 5 is just making the world a lot easier for all of us, and also very exciting to see the potential that it has.
Yeah, especially when we talked about last week the great interview with Nick Cellini and how indies are getting better games. And I guess like giving them the right tools makes it life easier too.
You never know; they might change from Unity. Is that the same? I think Unity and Unreal are different platforms, right?
Unity was the choice for a lot of game designers coming up because they gave a better split in terms of the revenue. So Unreal Engine was quite a bit more. I'd say it was like a 50-50 split. Yeah. Whereas Unity was more 70-30, I believe, or even like higher than that. It was like 90-10 to the developer. So that's why I think that's the reason why a lot of larger studios use Unreal, because they can afford to pay the 50, negotiate better deals as well. Whereas if you're just a small indie developer, you have no relationship with Unreal, you just got to take the 50.
You could sort of use technology that suits them, like be like, look, we're using you, make this for me. Through the actual company. And then also your controversial topic, mate. I'm interested to see what you have for us.
Yeah, well, this is actually an interesting one, and Rexy will be able to weigh in a bit on it based on the industry that he works in it currently. So, and also Nick, Kalsa, and myself will be able to sort of give some insight based on our jobs as well. So there is like some crossover there with our actual lives.
There you go. And for those of you who don't know what I do, I'm a chef. So I've been working in this hospitality industry for a long time. 8 years.
Well, you don't know how many years.
It's so funny whenever my mom goes anywhere, she's so proud of Rex. It's like it would be any restaurant. And then as she's ordering in front of everybody, she's always like, and actually, I'd like to inform you, and can you also please tell the head chef and all the wait staff that my son is in fact a chef.
It's not even it's like before I even step into the restaurant or even before I arrive there. We haven't even ordered the food, but somehow the waiters and the staff already know. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing, bro?
They're all like, guys, be careful, we got a chef.
It's unnecessary pressure. Like, sometimes people cook a lot more relaxed without having that pressure, but it is a hack. Like every time that she's done it and we've been to a restaurant, we've gotten like special plating, the food been presented by the actual head chef. Like,
so it works.
It works in a way, but it's also like some chefs would be like, bro, it's all good.
Mom knows what she's doing, like getting that extra level of care and service for a chef. All right, so we'll see the first topic for today. Damn, that intro just gave me a lot of energy. I'm ready.
You don't need coffee.
Yeah.
The Spanish class has work on you.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, guys, for anybody watching, we are planning on doing a English Spanish video coming to you guys soon. I think we're probably going to use Helldivers to sort of do this, but that one's a work in progress. But yeah, watch that space.
Yeah.
Ready, bro. I'm ready.
I'll be teaching like special, like probably very simple commands so that you can just get through. But that's the only thing that you can say. Like apart from that, no English.
No English.
I'll be thinking of saying some like, oh,
Rex is gonna be good. Like I already can tell that Rex is gonna get around like saying all this stuff, and even if he doesn't quite know, he will still say it.
Mate, it's all about passion and execution.
I love it.
All right, so this is first topic, Unreal Engine 5.4. Back to what we're here to do today. Nick, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Unreal Engine. We sort of seen like every year. It's a very special keynote, not necessarily for the gamers, the consumers, but we also I get excited with these kind of things because at some point they are giving more tools to game developers to develop the games, and also I guess all the testing side of it makes it easier, which normally, I don't know, from my experience and since I've been playing games, I always seen that games could take a while, like a couple of years, 4 years, 5 years, depending on how big the title is. And now with the new tools, game developers can test stuff that it will take them to build, and then they won't see it happening until they put it out there. And now even the new Unreal Engine 5.4 is having this motion system where they can test, let's say, a jump with a character, and they can put it in different environments so they can see how well it performs. So technically, I'm gonna put a simple example. You have this little character moving around, and they have a little wood log in front of them, and they need to jump it. Normally, they will create the animation to jump that specific wood log, but if you change the shape of it, it will mess up with the whole animation, right? If you can test that many times with different shapes, you just create the animation and you can test it like 100 times and see how well it performs, even if you change the shape 100 times. So definitely will make an impact on someone that works on this environment, and deploying these solutions will be much easier too.
Yeah, that's actually an actual thing in game development. It's called rapid prototyping, and that developers are always looking for quick ways to test out ideas, because sometimes an idea will be really good in your mind, and then it won't actually become like, you won't be able to notice if it's actually a good idea or a bad idea without testing it. And other things become more visible when you can like rapidly prototype. So yeah, it's actually, it's amazing that we've got that technology now that will help them like rapidly get these ideas out. And then I think with that, you'll have better games for it.
I'm pretty sure this, and it was them talking about, was it motion matching animation, where someone was sort of, or I would say a character or an avatar was running, and he was doing parkour, and they were able to simulate multiple sort of ways for this character to run, and at the same time, and it made it smooth as well. And I'm sure you would have seen in Fortnite and that also. Me and Noakas were viewing that, and they use the same technology already, so it's already up and running in Epic Games for Fortnite, and it's so smooth, man, when you're running and turning. And I didn't actually think about that until I was actually watching this video. And it's really cool when you look from the other perspective. Sorry, perspective.
That's the perspective. Is like, it's a finesse term,
and it just makes it nice and smooth. Like it looks like, that's yeah.
The basically with this type of developments that we've seen in the market, it's opening the doors for more developers to try their ideas, their wild ideas. Like even last week, again, we're talking about gravity. In the sense of gravity for us as humans, we know that if we let something fall, it will fall. But when you are coding, now I sort of, because we've been talking about this, and I understand like it's not that simple. You need to create a code of gravity. It's like basically you need to decode the code of a simple thing, that a physics thing that works for humans. But in games, it's all zeros and ones, or ones and zeros.
It kind of reminds me of how we were talking about how we're trying to create fake meat. And, all of these solutions, they're great, but the simple things are so complex. Whereas like the human or animal side of it is it's already there, but it's just organic technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. See, we were creating terms that I don't know if that exists, but we might use it.
There you go. If you're interested in organic technology, have a look at how Japan designed their subway system. They used fungi to create it similar way.
That's a really good example.
That's a great example, but that's cool. Who the hell looks up organic technology?
I go down some tunnels sometimes, and I just
it's your mind thinking Unreal Engine. No, slime. No, Japan.
Well, was it the TV show The Last of Us? That's I think that's when that was all coming out. A lot of that stuff about fungi was also being shared around on social media too.
That's also one thing that you mentioned, a TV show, because Unreal Engine, it was meant to be for video games, but it's also open horizons for the movies and TV shows to create better content too. We've seen a video of Dune director talking about how he plays out with the dates and the times and the environment, so he can plan out a shootout as the best as he can get. So they put a meta-human, just to put it in simple words, is a little character, and they place it in the environment that they want. Let's say the desert of Jordan. And then they play with the time and then see how is the shading gonna move, and then they can plan the shot.
The Lumen technology.
Lumen technology.
That's really cool in the sense for directors and people recording and videoing the films, because I would reckon that would make it a lot easier when they're like they wouldn't have to wait for that specific time of day, right? Am I correct? For the perfect view or the perfect lighting or the perfect shadows. Like that would take a lot of time and money out of it as well, sort of simplify that process.
If you put the logistics side of it, which is the spin that we have, imagine like you have to call all your staff just to do that, like that specific scene, and you record it and it doesn't work. For them, it's time and money that they're losing just because that wasn't the right time to record it. And just being able to sort of see it beforehand that you actually on set, it is a game changer. Like
that just makes me think, like, now that you've said that, is that why a lot of film studios film inside studios and some films film outside? Like, is it easier for them to create an artificial environment or
The Mandalorian is famous for that. So that TV show is shot indoors completely, and they have a sphere of monitors or screens that create the correct lighting and also the backdrops for how they shoot it. So they never have to go outside in the real world because they've got like these screens that create the worlds for them.
Man, that's hectic. Like, when you think about all the scenes that are shot in Mandalorian, desert, ice, swimming in that water, when they saw in the Mandalorian planet, and he sees the big Mandalorian, I don't know, whatever you call it, but it's the symbol.
The big monster that was in the...
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
I
pretty
think
cool.
probably that one might be CGI, but like most of the live action scenes would have been done with the screen.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And there's a lot of discussion there whether that's the like peak of cinematography or it's
Yeah.
just like a hack.
Well, the thing
Um,
is, as well, if they weren't using that, they'd probably be using green screens. And one of the benefits of using actual monitors is I forgot the actual term for it, but because Mandalorian has such shiny armor, when you're on a green screen, you can't help but have the green sort of trickle onto the reflective materials. So when they're using those screens, he actually gets the proper lighting on his armor, and
The reflection too.
yeah. Yeah, so the green sort of bleeds in if you're on a green screen and you've got reflective clothing on there.
That's a really
We
good
should-
point.
with the screens, man.
So,
But yeah, like deploying these tools, like I don't know, like do you guys play the Matrix demo that came out like
Yeah.
probably 2 years ago? When I played, I was like, I was really surprised by how well put was demo.
Mhm.
There was not much to do around the
No.
city.
it was
But-
more like a demonstration of what it's possible rather than
Oh, is that the one where you're in the back of a car and it's like
Yes,
driving?
you start there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
play it. 'Cause I was trying to think. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, guys deploy those tools so you can actually test them and you can do better with it. Like it's almost like what we talk about, like the haptics on the PlayStation. The tool is there, but it doesn't mean that every single game developer is gonna set some
Yeah.
time to put the haptics on the game.
Hmm.
And it's just once you have that, you have opened the possibilities to create more stuff.
I'm pretty
But-
sure that all the controllers, like I think Nick was saying, a lot of in those game developer things, they do the main ones like Xbox, PlayStation, PC,
Yeah.
Steam Deck, and then it's all sort of the other smaller ones that are a bit trickier
Left
to.
out.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but man, it's a vibe. It's cool.
About like sort of the replication and the meta humans that are now being developed. This probably will tie up with the next topic. It's like imagine like you being able to recreate a meta human that has the same facial expressions and all, and deploy it in a restaurant. So now your AI will have a face, and your AI will have also emotions, like emotions as we call like the way we sort of if we are angry you can tell, but I don't want to see an AI angry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hack your account, bro. Better relax.
That's with the
Yeah.
dynamic tessellation, right? That's where those features come into play. And that covers facial expressions and also materials.
And terrain, 3D
Yeah,
terrain.
terrain. Yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we've all watched a video about there was like a river and a sort of like a side mountain, and it was all generated by the Unreal Engine, and it looks so
Yeah.
so detailed. And then they could just add more, like okay, make it bigger, make it larger, and all the bushes and the trees were just all configured in real time.
It's almost like a chat GPT prompt. Obviously they had all the little things to play with, but that's what I felt like. It could get to that state where you're like, design a jungle in Vietnam in 1956, and it will like try to replicate that as best as it can. And then you can get even into more detail, like add some mountains
Yeah.
here, less
Yeah.
vegetation.
Exactly.
Time of day
Yeah.
is 12. The weather is raining. Fully customize it.
Like there'll be prompt superstars for AI, like someone
I
that's
think-
just
Yeah,
like
100%. They call them prompt engineers, so that's already a thing.
but superstars, like they're the like
Engineering,
they are the ones.
yeah.
They are them.
Yeah, it's actually a term that they coined recently, where it's like it's simple but it works. It's like shit input, shit output. So the quality of your prompt determines the quality of your
Information.
answer.
Oh yeah, answer.
Yeah.
We receive back.
So guys who are prompt engineers, like it looks almost like code, right? You can simplify it even more so that like you can put it in pseudocode, which is what basically we would write, and then it can understand that as well. And I think as AI gets better, it'd be less of this sort of code prompting, and it'll just be language that it can understand.
Yeah, different companies call it have different terms for it, but in overall, I think they've been saying load code environment. So this where coding is phasing out, but as we know it, and it will be using normal language to build up solutions.
Man, if you're an up and coming developer that like doesn't have a big strength in coding, like I mean, like obviously that wouldn't be those two sort of things can't contradict each other. If you want to be a developer and coding is not your strong point, like in the future, it's going to be really easy for people like that to get in, and it'll open the door. Maybe there is like a genius person who just doesn't like coding, and that's the reason why they're not in there. But this will open the door to them.
Yeah, break the barrier. Like we've spoken on a couple of the episodes, which is exciting, and also
I would love to do in Omniverse or something, like create our avatars and just run and see how good it is.
Oh, like okay, let's do that. I'd be curious to see like what does it cost to get into Meta and all that. Like what's the barriers to entry to that, and can we film a podcast on there with random people just walking around too?
Yeah.
Or you could interview someone that's in the Omniverse, so someone that's I guess and we could have little characters in like a desk. Oh shucks, bro! Boys on the mic in the back. Let's go. Boys in the meta.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much sums up what we were excited about for Unreal Engine 5. Is there any other sort of keynotes that you wanted to talk about, Nick? Which, in fact, there was so much about.
We're not covering much of the technical side. We're covering more of what we think will shape the current environment that we live in. It's not necessarily going to affect just the video games itself. We said also it's going to affect TV shows. And in the future, I think these sort of tools, even I was telling my auntie, she's an architect, and I said, you could actually render everything in real time to your clients if you learn how to use Unreal Engine and show them like, oh, what do you think about putting this furniture here? Or what do you think if we change the colors? And in mind, like you do that. Normally an architect or an interior designer, they normally take days to finish up the whole idea that they had at the initial, and then they present it and they say, and then the customer will have the final decision. And sometimes they come up, oh, I want you to do these changes. And then again, another week.
Yeah.
Just get the...
Yeah. Normally architects outsource this to somebody who is a designer in these programs, which they'll pay a lot for. If they could do it themselves, then that's another cost saving.
Yeah. But in my, if you can, because the easier that these tools they get, you could actually do yourself. Like you ask someone to do the whole environment, and then the little adjustments of color, because like stuff is already, let's say, in mind we're building up this room, right? And this chair is black, and all this is being built by someone that knows how to use Unreal Engine. But if you make it easier also to the interior design to just change the color with clicking black or white, then he can present the idea to their final client. An easy, a quick fix. Yeah,
I did see one of my close friends. I'm pretty sure his missus was I think she's an architect, but she showed me like what she was working on, and man, I couldn't tell if it was real or not. Like the technology that they were using, I think it was.
Was she using Unreal?
I'm not too sure if it was Unreal. I'll have to
Unreal or AutoCAD.
Yeah, but it was an apartment in the Gold Coast. It had this like the whole apartment floor, and I was like, "Wow, that's so cool, man!"
Well, yeah. So, and I think like probably 10 years ago, when my dad was like building, like renovating the whole house back in Peru, and the renders were look like they weren't as good as they are now, and it's just been 10 years, you know. They can now recreate the whole room, and you can just probably walk around on the Omniverse without actually having it.
One of us needs to get access to a Quest or a Apple Vision to test it out.
You bastard!
Don't
One of
prompt
us.
him. Don't prompt him with Apple products.
Yeah, you know that for me, a Quest doesn't work quite well because I'm an Apple guy. So for me, it's to be like, okay, I'll get the Apple Vision Pro and you get the Quest.
How much is the Apple Vision Pro? Something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, and even I'm not kidding. I was thinking about like the other day. I said like, okay, if I get it, right? I save some money, but what exactly can I do
He's
with it?
money getting it.
Bro, what the? They're selling
But
the.
You can on your couch without your
Okay, so the
TV.
Vision Pro, can you guess how much it costs?
in
I think it was
Australia,
like in Australia.
like
Just give me some.
6,000.
Yep, 6,540.
It's honestly like you're gonna save a
No,
lot of money.
the thing with like a tool like that, like if it's just to justify that price, it actually needs to make my whole life easier. Like
Okay.
it's not like something that
Yeah.
you will buy and say like, oh, it's just to watch movies. Like for that, I'll buy the best
Yeah.
TV in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could just be
very
like, is it gonna sit on my cupboard or on my shelf, or is it gonna be used every day? Like, how much time am I gonna use it?
I
Can I
guarantee
use
you,
it for work?
like, he's gonna use it for everything. He's not gonna take it off his head.
And
He'll be like one of those
are
guys
you guys going
just like walking
on
down
the
the street.
train, driving?
That will
And
be
the volume up.
detrimental from our relationship. We are not there for those sort of tools. Like it's lovely that it's out there. The price is not funny.
The price is not right.
But imagine this is the way I could see it working for a real environment. Imagine if you're a mechanic. As a mechanic, on your training session, you're starting to get to know how the engines work. Especially now, we have EVs. There's not many mechanics that are specialized on EVs. Imagine if you are wearing the headsets, not necessarily Apple Vision Pro, but other headsets, and you can actually see prompting information out of the screen that tells you exactly what happens if you move that, or exactly what it does, or what you should replace it with. So it will be very like, how can you say it? Like basically it will help out to be better at your job with more information.
Yeah, they definitely would have to create very durable and versatile sort of like, man, I would be so scared working on a vehicle with a $7,000, $6,000 equipment on my eyes. And just
Yeah.
imagine if something falls and you're like, uh-oh, it's gone. That's the 6,000. Damn it.
Or you might, put yourself on your own shoes. You're a chef, you're cooking, and then
Yes.
you're missing one ingredient, and the thing tells you if you mix these two, it will do the same sort of flavor or of the notes.
Or you're like have a recipe up while you're
the recipe up, but
while you're cooking.
But also on the other side, like you said, it's not durable. It's probably not comfortable. Like you can get
It's hot, bro.
It's hot ass. Yeah.
Like you'd be sweating on your eyes wearing that. And unless they had aircon inside there, bro.
That's
hard.
what is it?
The solution for that is Neuralink. You put something on, you check in your brain.
That would
and
be
then
more
you can,
better. Cyberpunk sort of vibes.
Come on, Elon, you can do it.
I won't test myself, but you guys.
Anyways, back to the party. What's the next topic that you have for us, Nawaka? I'm interested to hear what you have, mate.
Okay, so the next topic that I'm going to bring to the table is virtual assistants working in restaurants. And there are restaurants around New York City, and this stuff has become very viral over the last week. It's everywhere over TikTok, Instagram, and they're basically showing these virtual staff members who are taking orders in restaurants for customers. And when you have a look at it, it's just like a big screen kiosk. Like normally, if you're into Macca's or something like that, that's McDonald's for any international people watching the stream. There is a big screen and you do your order yourself. Well, now they will have a virtual person sitting on the screen. And they are currently based in the Philippines. The name of the company that does it is called Happy Cashier. And just to give you guys an idea, the difference in wages for these customer service reps in the Philippines is $3 an hour compared to $16 if they had to pay somebody to be in there, in like physically in person. Now, this $3 is above the average wage in the Philippines, but there is there's a clear discrepancy between the wage in the Philippines and the US. So these guys are still making more money than they normally would for the same job in the Philippines. So that's an important thing to mention. Now, the stuff that these virtual assistants can do, they can take food orders, coordinate deliveries, answer phone calls, manage online reviews. But the things that they cannot do is handle physical cash transactions. So, the program has started. They've quietly started testing this since October 2023, and the company doesn't have a website set up, so you have to actually talk to somebody at Happy Cashier. The owner of Happy Cashier expects to upscale the business and have it in at least 100 restaurants over New York by the end of the year. And I think you could probably see if it does work well in other restaurants around the States and probably wider in the world. So yeah, that's sort of like the summary of the idea and the topic and about this.
That's crazy, man. I've just sort of had a quick look at virtual assistants, and man, there's actually some in Australia, some in America, but the Philippines, and I'm sure maybe India as well, like just their pricing is really low comparatively to the ones that are like, I can tell you, I have the Australian cost. You know how much a virtual assistant is?
Well, it'll be based on the Australian award wages, so it would be at least
$50 an hour.
What?
Oh, $50. No, that's a great.
Or 5
No,
years.
what are you talking about,
That would
man?
be a virtual assistant.
Let's all right. Let's cut the podcast short. Let's all become virtual assistants.
I was like, that's almost like a head chef, man. That's like an exec. Oh,
What do you want to order?
exactly. Guys, like, I can do
Let me take
Australian,
your order for you.
do English, like whatever accent you want. No worries, mate.
Your personal life.
Prior to the podcast starting, we were joking about how if you wanted virtual assistants in Australia from another country, the best place to get it where they Australian accent.
They can, like, it's not like you saying was a cashier and that. They can actually do so much more than just being cashiers, man. They have a whole website, mate. I'm telling you, bro. They can do everything from call center, customer support, live support, digital marketing, HR outsourcing, payroll, like data entry settlers, like web development. Like, it's quite hectic, man.
Amazon. We just saw the news that Amazon was using Indian employees to monitor their Amazon Go Fresh stores. So there it is. Like, that's one is very good example. Like, for a cheap
It just
price
makes you
anywhere.
think, like, wow, man.
Yeah,
that was
This
interesting.
stuff has been outsourcing behind the scenes, like stuff that we're not aware of.
It's
like,
massive. It happens everywhere. But that Amazon example is interesting because they misled people. They made people believe it was AI, but really it was virtual assistants in India watching cameras 24/7.
yeah.
Exactly. To outsource it to them to watch it, then someone in America or Australia, which is, I think, one of the highest paying countries, if I'm not wrong, when it comes to turn to hourly rates or salary.
So back to this, these New York restaurants. I guess like the thing about that is that they're not lying about it. They're upfront about it. They've basically got a screen there, and in the video that we watched, people were asking, "Hey, where are you based?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm based in the Philippines." And they were asking, "Oh, do people tip you?" And the lady was like, "Well, it's up to the customer. It really depends whether they want to do it or not."
I guess in the hospitality industry, you always get, in any industry, you're always going to get those people that will sort of try and be like, "Oh, what's this or what's that?" And they sort of try and fight the grain. But generally, I think it's an awesome idea to have in fast food restaurants and that. But for the more sort of higher end
dining.
or fine dining, not even fine dining, bro, just like proper restaurant setting, they would have to have robots that can sort of like walk.
Yeah, complement the work that they do at the restaurant.
And it's all part of the experience when you come into the restaurant, not just the food as well. Make you feel like you're a super.
I think that also as well, I'm not sure if you guys agree, but based on the videos that we saw of it, the customers were sort of confused at the start. They didn't know what was going on, and the experience, I think, at this point, wasn't done as well as it could have been. It's kind of like they just put a screen in the restaurant and go. The customers were kind of confused when they walked in. They were like, "Oh, this is weird. Like, what are you doing here? Where do you work? And who are those guys in the background cooking? Like, why can't they talk to me?" And there was a bit of a disconnect there. But I think if they get it right, or the more common it becomes, it'll be a lot more smoother, and I think it'll be part of just the way of the restaurant experience, at least for fast food. And if you have a look at the reasons why these are being brought in, is because of inflation and costs.
Solution, 100%.
Now, the obvious thing is in that industry, specifically in hospitality, as we understand in the US, they're already struggling to find workers. So they're now replacing them with remote workers in the Philippines. This is going to make it harder for people who are in that industry already to try and find work? Or do you reckon it'll make it easier? Like, people will prefer to have that in-person experience at a fast food restaurant at a higher price?
Yeah. I think that's a good question on that specific scenario. But for me, definitely on a fast-paced environment, what you want is to basically to get things up and running as fast as it can. The way they earn money, it's by just getting more people in and ordering. So I think, because as we see in the demo, this is not quite there yet. It feels like there's a disconnection, that it's disrupting their workflow at the moment. So as it is, it wouldn't do much. It will actually be detrimental for the customer service side. But if they get it right in a way that the person that it's in the Philippines can actually interact with stuff that it's around them, that to get it a better service, and also interact with people that are working in a restaurant. Because how easy is when you want to tell a co-worker, like, "Hey mate, like, pass me that," or "Hey mate, can you help me? Like, the girl, I don't know, it's fainting." Like, and how is she gonna help her if she can't
Call
do
911.
Yeah, but call 911. They can call 911 straight away. That I feel like you have to put yourself on all these scenarios, and even if you put yourself on all these scenarios, you have to do live demos to actually see how really deployed.
Rex, what are your thoughts on it?
I was just thinking, and I was calculating how much those franchises would make and how much it would cost, and where they would sort of, if they were to free up their staff.
Because you're coming from a business perspective, right? Because this is what you do in your everyday job. You actually
I work in
numbers as well.
Yeah. So if they were to free up, let's say, the people serving them, they could invest more money into training people that are actually cooking in the back, which will then streamline stuff and make it faster than producing more amounts of food and more income, which is quite smart when you think about it. And I think if anyone in any industry or any boss, more money is more fun, and that's the game, bro. That's what they want. And you can already see it in Australia. They're already implementing it in all the fast food chains. The leading one is probably Macca's, where they have all the kiosks now, and it's sort of like hands off. So it's definitely a good way to sort of have that. Like, kiosks are actually an alternative to these AI assistants. When you think about it, you wouldn't need someone to talk to. And a lot of people, they use the apps now to order food and stuff like that. But I'm not sure how it works in New York and that. But if they have to have someone there to sort of interact and talk to.
They do have those kiosks. But I wonder when exactly you actually need an AI assistant instead of the kiosk. Because to be honest, like, sometimes I just go into, if I've been in a Macca's or a pub, to be honest, sometimes I prefer just to order in straight away from my phone. Like, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah. So
I guess, like,
sorry, go on.
Go on. I was just gonna say, I guess in that situation, you only have options for an app if the restaurant has one. If they don't have an app, then you'd be forced to either talk to somebody or
Yeah, and that all comes down to the amount of money that they can invest in that. So a lot of people can afford it, and a lot of people can't afford it. So it's all about upgrading and moving on. And it obviously it would take a bit of money to get it in at the first part, but like in everything, it should pay off itself over time.
Well, that I have is, how do you think it will go with reliability and staffing issues? So, for example, if you have like in-house front staff and somebody's sick or away or quits, if you have VAs who are much more reliable and they've trained up multiple VAs that can basically just replace each other if somebody's not there. By the way, we work with VAs in the Philippines in our day-to-day jobs, Kalsa and myself. And if somebody is away, they have somebody to replace. And also, they don't take as many holidays as we do in Australia, at least for that matter. They actually take, and they can't take annual leave like more than one day consecutively. They have to have like a really good reason, and they have less annual leave than us. That's not something that the company has done. That is just the work rights in the Philippines.
Also, one thing is like, because they work under the Australian holidays, the public holidays, they just have the national public holidays. So if there is a state public holiday, they won't take it because all the rest of the states are still working.
So that's the tricky part of it, eh?
Like with my question is do you think that overall, with a more reliable workforce using the VAs, is that a better thing for small companies that actually can have a cost saving in having a virtual assistant and also somebody that's more reliable?
Yeah, that is a good question. I definitely believe it all depends on the establishment and what sort of service they're providing. But definitely, there's a shortage in wait staff and also a skill like training. A lot of the time, people they go through stuff quite quickly, and if you're having someone reliable and they know the books and they're able to train and know everything and able to cover them, that's ideal, man. And it'll be really good. But like I said, it all depends if they can integrate it into their restaurant or a fast food chain.
Because businesses are core units that are personalized for a specific business. So say the example that we did with the Philippines is this company attends different companies in Australia, and not just in Australia, but in Asia in general. And they will have a core unit that just focus on a specific company. So they understand the processes, like they understand the workflow, they understand the different tasks that they need to do. That's why you can just swap. If someone takes leave, someone just can cover for a few weeks, and that can be done. But it's what I say, like, depends on what is the value that the restaurant is giving itself. If it's a fast-paced restaurant, what is the value? Like giving your food as fast as you can and like fair price for fair amount, I guess.
And also, sorry, the experience as well. Like, what experience is this establishment providing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sort of touched on this, Rex, but I guess like for a higher level of dining, there could be some sort of hybrid version. I wonder what that would look like, where
so
they can use both.
Exactly. So I was saying, like, a lot of the times in those I wouldn't say a higher end restaurant or restaurants where you have table service, it kind of would feel a bit awkward if you had like a screen or an iPad or a virtual assistant on the table with you, right? You want to have that experience. Yeah, where if say for example, if you're on a date with your loved one, or I don't know, it's a birthday, you just want that sort of, you want them to be there, but you don't want them to be there, in a sense. Like you want them to be like, boom, would you like to order this and that? But also be able to go away so you guys have your privacy and you guys can enjoy each other's company. Like with NVIDIA's AI modeling for robots, they could potentially input these robots. And like you said, with the working, I think we touched base with this. There's like, they'll be reliable. You can just have them on the premises. And once they're able to execute the experience and the service into these AI robots using the AI modeling and also language, like they could speak different languages. That's another cool thing that you can say, because a lot of the time when people come from overseas, it's hard for them to communicate and that.
Mm.
So if you had a robot that's
Translate.
exactly
Yeah,
translate
or
and talk in
understand.
the main 10
Yeah.
languages and also provide that service at the same time.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
So shout out if they, in the works
Yeah.
of creating this robot.
In the hospital, like when it's a life death situation,
Ooh.
something, and they don't understand. Like I got a pain in my back,
And you're like, oh,
It's
damn it, this guy speaks Spanish.
and you start
No
hugging
English.
him, like
Yeah. So that's definitely something that I could take from that. But if they're able to do that, and I hope they will be, that would be awesome to also have that experience. Because the way you shape or create these robots or androids can suit the different restaurants as well, like sort of like how they look and all of that and dress as well.
one thing in mind. This is a very simple situation, and that happens a lot. We still think that internet is so reliable, but from time to time, still it goes down. Imagine if in the middle of a conversation, lagging or anything, it's a Zoom call, anyways. Like you're relying on a third party, which is Zoom.
True.
Exactly.
What happens if drops? Like, and the client is like,
well, like a real life example was when Optus went offline, and then not only was the phone network out, but they also power the FPOS machines, which you pay with, so you can only pay in cash.
And the trams as well. There was something about the trains and the trams, the systems they were using
just went down.
So they were all offline because it was a hazard to have them running.
And the VA assistants as well, they can't deal with physical money. So that in that specific scenario, you would have to have somebody physical come in.
Yeah.
If they were to have them in the restaurants and the internet went out, there's just these guys in the back being like, I'm not trained in that area, mate.
Yeah. But like, I mean, what is it? How often does that happen? And what's the trade-off? The boss has to come in for, I don't know, one day. Whereas
it definitely, like they would have, premeditated measures for these sort of situations.
They would have something set up. That's actually one other question that I had as well, is like for the, like you were talking about, Rex, the implication for the workforce development. If people are not having experience in front of house because the VAs are doing all of that, how does that affect the training? Like I think you mentioned before, it would actually increase the training of the back of house staff.
Exactly.
Disconnect there, where
you
would have the next generation not doing front of house tasks.
They would just sort of be making coffees and cocktails and pumping it out. But, they would sort of had to have some sort of aspect, because if you were to cut everyone off from everyone else, then sort of the social aspect of being in hospitality would be sort of diminished, which is something,
right?
Yeah, man. It's all part of the experience. And when you say hi, like the amount of times people love to come up to the kitchen and say, bro, that food was awesome. That's just a part of the experience, someone being able to interact with the person that cooked the food. There you go.
I've got a real life example of this, and this isn't even about me. This is about Kausa. He goes to a coffee shop around the corner from his work because the lady figured out that he speaks Spanish, and he goes to that coffee shop because of that.
Like, this is the thing. Like, she remembers my name, which is very unusual when you have been just probably a couple times in a restaurant or a coffee shop.
That one is busy.
She remembers my name. She normally like comes like, "Hola Nico, how are you?" Like that's Hola Nico. Hi Nick, how are you?
Yeah.
And she's like, she always does that. And then she will ask me, "How is my day?" Like any hospitality will ask you. But already with that, my name, and also
does she know your coffee
in
order?
Spanish? Yeah.
That's what gets
she around the coffee shop, so she doesn't necessarily is in the counter, but when when she's in the counter, she always asks like flat white oat milk, and it's like yes.
See that experience there, that's what people love, because them knowing you and being able to relate to you and knowing your order, that little tick in your heart, that's something that everyone looks for, and you're like, she knows.
Yeah.
I think VAs are going to struggle to do that the same way somebody would. But
unless it's the same VA.
Yeah. Or they've got notes or something they can see, or I don't know.
Requirements.
Yeah. But sometimes meeting someone new and them knowing your order, you'd be like, have I met you?
What? Yeah. Right? It's
they'd be like,
are they like using that to keep data or things like that?
Recognition.
So that's
someone from the Philippines just starts speaking to you in Spanish. Flat white.
Oh.
Is that right, mate?
And then, are you living at home at 5 p.m. In Richmond?
Yeah.
Oops.
Is this your address? And you're like, what? How do you know that?
Compound
You would
information.
have
Yeah.
I wonder if in the future people are gonna, like how with your phones you have like a privacy screen. People will have like a privacy mask where they can't read your face. Like technology won't be able to read your face if you've got this mask on. Like it could be
Yeah.
like see through, but you couldn't. Technology won't be able to see it in cameras.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah, like
I think I've
kind of
seen
like
it
the
in
movies.
some movies. Yeah.
Yeah, impossible actually. They use it.
$1 million idea, boys. Let's invest.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to invest, here we are.
We're gonna use AI to do all the coding.
Anyways, that's the points for the VA assistance. So yeah, but exciting things. I think like I'd love to see that in Australia at some point just to test it out.
Yeah. Definitely.
Closing thoughts on it?
Nah, I just want to experience all this new technology and just be amongst it, man. Just want to experience it, take it all in.
Yeah. What for me, I prefer to someone else trying it and then trial and error, and then when it's a perfect solution,
Then you'll
then
miss
I
it.
come.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elsa's a very
No
safe
worries.
man.
No,
You gotta
worries.
risk it, brother.
Rexy and
Well,
the workers will jump in the fire.
I already risk this stuff on my daily life. I don't want to risk this stuff.
Oh, fair enough.
No worries. You just get that you come to Peru next year.
Wow.
And then we can divert to US and go and find a VA machine.
Yeah.
They might already
Like
be in Peru. We don't even know. It's a lot of time.
Oh, interesting.
There you go. All right. No worries.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to another episode of Boys on the Mic. Today, we filmed episode 18, where we talked about Unreal Engine's new announcements, and we sort of took away from what we thought was awesome and had a little bit of a chat about that. The other topic we talked about today was a bit of a controversial one, which was AI assistants. We talked about some of the assistants that they have in America, and we sort of took from that and sort of see what our thoughts were, and maybe they could be implemented in Australia and other countries. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace. Like and subscribe to Boys on the Mic.
Yeah, that was a good one.